He wasn't supposed to be there. Claire Bennett had known Tyler Monroe since she was 11 years old, back when he was just the awkward older brother who ate cereal straight from the box and refused to let her and her best friend, Megan, touch his PlayStation controller. 15 years later, he was still around, still quietly present at every birthday, every holiday, every ordinary Sunday dinner at the Monroe house, because Claire and Megan had never stopped being sisters in every way that mattered except blood. Tyler had simply always been there. It's like furniture you stopped noticing until the day you needed to lean on it. Claire hadn't planned on falling apart at her own cousin's engagement party. She hadn't planned on seeing Daniel there either. But there he was, arm around some woman in a red dress, laughing like he hadn't spent 2 years convincing Claire she was too sensitive, too much, too needy, before leaving her the week she lost her job and needed him most. She hadn't seen him in 14 months. She hadn't expected her hands to shake or her chest to go tight the second his eyes found hers across the room. She excused herself to the patio, gripping a glass of wine she didn't want, trying to remember how to breathe normally. That was where Tyler found her, hands in his pockets, doing what he always did, showing up without being summoned. "You okay?" he asked. And it wasn't a question that expected a real answer, not out there in the cold with music thumping behind the glass doors. "I'm fine," she said, the way people say fine when they are anything but. Tyler didn't push. He never did. He just stood beside her, shoulder nearly touching hers, watching the same nothing she was watching until Daniel, of course he would, stepped outside for a cigarette and spotted them. "Claire." Daniel said her name like he still owned it. "Didn't know you'd be here. Didn't know you'd have the nerve to be," she said, surprising herself. Daniel's eyes flicked to Tyler, sizing him up the way men do when they're deciding whether someone is a threat. "New boyfriend?" Before Claire could answer, before she could even decide what the honest answer was, Tyler stepped half a pace closer, close enough that his arm brushed hers and said nothing at all. He didn't confirm it. He didn't deny it. He simply reached over, tucked a strand of hair behind her ear the way you'd do for someone you'd done it for 100 times before, and pressed his lips to her forehead, slow and unhurried. Right there under the porch light where anyone, including Daniel, including the whole party visible through the glass, and could see. Claire's breath caught. Her whole body went still, waiting for the moment to make sense. Daniel's jaw tightened. He muttered something about needing to get back inside and disappeared through the door without another word. The silence that followed felt enormous. Claire turned to Tyler, her heart doing something complicated and unfamiliar in her chest. "What was that?" "I don't know," Tyler admitted. And for the first time in 15 years, she watched him look unsure of himself. "I saw the way he looked at you and I couldn't stand there and do nothing. I'm sorry. I shouldn't have." "Don't," Claire said quickly. "Don't apologize." He studied her face like he was trying to read weather in it. "Claire, I've known you since you were a kid with braces who used to steal my hoodies. I wasn't trying to make things weird. I just wanted him to know he doesn't get to make you feel small anymore. Not while I'm around." Something in her chest cracked open, not painfully this time, but like a window finally letting in air after being shut too long. She thought about all the years Tyler had shown up, driving 4 hours the night her father was hospitalized, sitting with her in a parking lot after her second miscarriage of a different relationship she'd never told Megan about, the countless ordinary evenings. He'd stayed longer than he needed to because he sensed she didn't want to be alone. She had spent so long looking for love in men who left. She had never once considered that it might have been standing quietly beside her the entire time, waiting. "You've never made things weird," she said finally, her voice barely above the music leaking through the glass. "You've just always made things better." Tyler exhaled like he'd been holding his breath for years. "Can I be honest with you about something? I've been in love with you since we were 23. I never said anything because you were Megan's best friend, and I didn't want to be the guy who ruined that. I told myself, I'd rather have you in my life as almost family than not have you at all." She stepped into him then, resting her forehead against his chest. And for the first time since Daniel had walked back into her life 20 minutes earlier, she felt no fear at all, only the steady, unglamorous certainty of someone who had never once needed convincing to stay. 6 months later, Tyler stood at the same patio, this time with a small velvet box in his pocket and Megan grinning through happy tears by the door. And when he got down on one knee, Claire didn't hesitate for even a second before saying yes, because she finally understood that real love had never been loud or sudden. It had been patient. It had been waiting on porches and in parking lots and at kitchen tables for 15 quiet years, simply refusing to leave.